let's start with Tucker Carlson. I showed some of this to you already. I just got to point out his little clip got more views, more viewership than any of his Fox News shows. Watch.
The undeniably big topics, the ones that will define our future, get virtually no discussion at all. War, civil liberties, emerging science, demographic change, corporate power, natural resources. When was the last time you heard a legitimate debate about any of those issues?
So you see, Tucker's making the point that it's very difficult nowadays to tell the truth. Don't I know that? Don't we all know that? And when you do speak the truth and you give full on what you're thinking, sometimes, well, people get a little bit mad. I experienced it myself. I mean, I had a lot to say. Don't forget, back in March 2020, Fox didn't like it very much. So I've been in his shoes. Although with him, it might even be different in that very interesting story today that someone pointed out to me. I am still trying to sort of track this down, whether the company BlackRock has as big a stake in Fox as Forbes is reporting. Now, Forbes is a pretty reliable source. I mean, they're saying 15%. That number feels really, really high to me, unless it just happened recently. But I did ask one of my investor friends to check it out. And I'm getting back actually some news right now. My friend says it's actually under 5%. That's what's indicated on Bloomberg right now. So on the Bloomberg terminal, suggesting that BlackRock owns under 5%. And well, keep in mind, BlackRock owns about 5% of everything. So maybe we're reading too much into that. It may just be as simple as these text messages that were on his phone that were disparaging possibly to some of the female executives, disparaging to the Murdochs themselves. Maybe that was what did it. I mean, we'll find out more, I'm sure. Already, Fox seems to be trying to separate him from his audience. I think they want to bury him because we're seeing all kinds of reports that are coming out in the Wall Street Journal, for example, owned by none other than Rupert Murdoch, that Tucker had used the C word when referring to a female executive. That's come out. He apparently talks about whether or not something's going to work with his postmenopausal female viewers. That's been reported in the Daily Mail. So drips and drabs, right? Plus you get the Abby Grossberg lawsuit out there where she's alleging this misogynistic environment. I have a feeling that the folks that be there over at Fox may want to try and separate him, take him down a little bit, but good luck. Well, why would that matter? You've heard me talk about ESG in the past. I've done whole shows on it. This is environmental social governance. It's the prism through which investors look at companies nowadays because, hate to be so old fashioned as to just look at profitability and earnings. No, we don't do that anymore. Who cares how much money you make, how profitable you are? We care about how socially compliant you are. Do you check all those boxes? Do you have a green enough energy footprint? It's going to be kind of hard for an oil company, right? Do you have an equal ratio of men to women? What is the Black population, the Hispanic population, the LGBTQ population? Do you have this person, that person, and his or her cousin? Everybody else on your board. I mean, this is kind of crazy when you think about, I'm investing in a company because I want to make money. Well, there's this layer. There's this layer called ESG, and it was actually BlackRock that really took this to new heights. I want to point out that BlackRock, which is owned by Larry Fink, is kind of like a revolving door over there at the White House. At least in Democrat administrations, BlackRock has had a lot of people sort of go in and out of various departments within our federal government. In fact, the guy who's now head of the National Economic Council, Brian Deese, he's the former head of ESG, environmental social governance, at none other than BlackRock. So the BlackRock thesis is we can control the social environment with money. If we just say, look, we're not going to invest in this company, then this company will do what we need them to do. And when you think about companies like Bud Light, by the way, Dylan Mulvaney's got a whole new deal with Maybelline. We're going to talk about that. When you think about companies like Bud Light, Anheuser-Busch, when you think about companies like Fox, you wonder how much of this pressure is playing into what they're doing. I would have to think that the investors were not happy with Tucker's reporting. A lot of people, right, were not happy with Tucker's reporting. And consequently, there was most likely a lot of pressure. I don't know if that would be enough for Fox to do anything. I think that money does matter, and I think that he made them a lot of money. So I'm not saying that that was the reason, but I think we need to at least consider it because we're in such a politically correct environment right now where you can get so easily canceled. Your company can get canceled. Shareholders would bolt because it's all controlled with this one big asset manager, which has a whole lot of power. I mean, this is why you have states like Florida and Kansas saying, wait a second. We had the AG from Texas on the show the other day who said he's sending letters to BlackRock and he's trying to warn them, like, you know what, guys, this is not really a system that's going to ultimately reward those that are investing with you. And by the way, like all the pension funds all over the country, they're all investing. Teachers, firefighters, police, everybody's investing through BlackRock. BlackRock then turns around and says, okay, I like you, and I don't like you. So this ESG score, it could have played a role. I mean, I think there's other things too. And by the way, you got to wonder, is like Fox going to totally try and bury him? Because have you seen the media stories? Think about the Wall Street Journal story. This is interesting because this one's owned by Rupert Murdoch. They pointed out the other day that there was a text exchange in which Tucker Carlson referred to a female executive with an extremely derogatory word, begins with a C. And it goes on. There was another story in the Daily Mail today talking about how he had allegedly talked about postmenopausal women and all kinds of other bad words. Well, that's not a bad word, but more bad words like the C word.
What could it be?
Fox is probably going to try and sort of break him apart from his audience, but good luck. Good luck, okay? Because he had a very big following. He has a very big following. And when you consider him going out and doing that little blurb on Twitter, I mean, he got a ton of views. And people are very anxious for him to come back. So Stu's joining the show, Stu from America over at The Blaze. He's going to tell us a little bit more about what he thinks is next in line for Tucker Carlson. I mean, Tucker certainly has a lot of opportunities.